Hello and welcome. I had such a fun time making my little fox for a dollhouse that I don't have yet and doesn't exist yet, that I felt like the next thing I wanted to make for it was a bed. And I am lucky that we have a 3D printer, so I had a look on the internets and I found this really nice little bed. I sized it to be a good size for my fox, and then I'm just cutting it out here. And I'm just using PLA. I picked a cheerful color because I felt like that was a really good idea. And then this is one that I'm just going to cut apart. The creator said that they made it like in this sheet just to help the pieces not move around while printing, just to help with better adhesion. So that's pretty good. And now I'm just going to glue it together. So I'm just using cheap super glue. I feel like super glue, it's always best to buy just a cheap small tube because it can get mucky and tricky. But this actually worked quite well, just gluing it together. But of course, the next thing that a little bed needs is a mattress. Now, if you've ever watched any of my videos before, you know I hate measuring things and I'm not very precise. So I just found a piece of fabric that I liked and cut it just a little bit bigger than the space that the mattress has to go in. And then I've grabbed some scraps of wadding and I'm just doing 2 layers because I feel like that'll make it cushy enough without making it too fat. And now I'm just going to sew around it, leaving a opening for turning. But I'm making sure that I have the wadding on the top because otherwise the wadding can get a little bit stuck in the feed dogs and make them really fluffy. So I'm just doing just a simple stitch around the edge. You don't have to do a knot stitch on the edge, but now I'm trimming the wadding because it close to the seam, being careful not to cut it and being careful not to cut the fabric as well because that'll make the edges less bulky when we turn it through. So I'm just trimming it up and then I will turn this through. I don't think I've left the perfect size gap in the stitching, and I also have accidentally got this edge as the fold edge, so I've trimmed that open. But we'll just pull it through and making sure that you get a decent amount of the corners through. Like, I'm not too pedantic about it. This is going to be a bit of a wonky thing, but just pushing it through just enough so that we can get a bit of a nice corner there. So we just turn it through as best we can. I'm using a chopstick as my turning tool. It just makes it easier to get the corners to come through. And now I am just grabbing a regular needle and some thread. I like to stitch the opening up with the thread doubled. So I will just do that. And I will use a ladder stitch just to close the opening because that gives the nicest finish. And then the inspiration behind this mattress is a picture book I had when I was a child. I think it was called Corduroy the Bear. He was a teddy bear who had lost a button off his overalls, I think. I can't even remember. But he'd lost a button and he saw a whole bunch of buttons in a mattress store on the mattresses. And his adventures were just trying to get a button to replace the one he had lost. But I remember all those mattresses with those like tufted button looks and how gorgeous that was. So we won't be putting any buttons on this one, but I am going to do just some stitches just to hold it together. I think it makes it look more plush. It's a simple way to give it a little bit of structure and to help it to stay put and all that. So that'll just be fairly simple. So after hiding the thread of sewing up the end, I'm just going to get like a Pearl 8 embroidery cotton. I don't really use stranded embroidery threads. Like, I do have some, but I don't love them. I mostly like to do chunkier things, so I always use the crochet cotton. But I'm just going to start off a strand of that. I like to bury my knot, so I just gently work it in and hide it on the inside. And then I'm just doing a few stitches in each position. And as you can tell, I haven't measured it, I'm just eyeballing it. I'm happy for this to have a wonky look. If you are doing something like this and it makes you happy to measure it and have it look precise, then that's great. But for me, I think I would do less making if I had to be precise all the time. I think just getting in there, making it up as I go along and winging it makes me happy. And I'm quite happy with the final result of this as well. So just by eyeballing it, I sometimes, if I'm trying to place things, I will place some fingers so I can see the positions that I'm trying to use. And just yeah, just eyeballing it, and I think it turns out pretty nice. I really love this fabric. I think this is a piece of a Kate Spade fabric, which I put in a quilt a very long time ago. So it's always worthwhile keeping your scraps. But I'm just stitching this up just so that I think we've got 6 little stitched spots here. And I think it gives it a nice little look. It makes it feel really plush and lovely. And it's going to be really nice. So the moment of truth is coming up now. I'm just doing a couple of knots and then again burying my threads. And we'll see if it fits in the bed. And it does. It's a nice little tight fit, which I feel like is perfect. It has turned out really nice, and the fox fits and it looks great. So we'll have to work out what we're going to make next. Bye.